Oh, it's lit. We prime time. Subscribe, like, and share. Give us your feedback. Yo, I'm Manny at the plate and Kobe off of steel. Gretzky for the goal and Brady at the wheel. I'm a game changer, the Osaka of the tennis. And breaking scoreboard, Simone of the Olympics. Defense and big business, the Mayweather who way better. From the greatness of Jim Brown, I've been down. Talking sports before I was off the porch. Screaming Bo knows while Jordan was playing horse. Late 80s getting torched by the drive and the shot. 2016 got a ring off the 3 in the block. They eased to forgot the cardiac kids. Price and Doherty, Bell in the Indian years. This who it is. Your host DeeTrynt, yo, that's a name banger. Come in the streets and talk sports with the game changer. Yo, your host DeeTrynt, that's a name banger. Come in the streets and talk sports with the game changer. Yo, DeeTrynt, Game Changer Sports Talk, in the street sports. Man, what's really good? You know what I'm saying? It's been a few days since I came up here in Powwow with y'all. I know. You know what I'm saying? I be a little busy doing a few things and trying to get things handled, you know what I'm saying? But it is very good to see you all, okay? Okay? All right, hold on. Let me just get some try and get this going right quick, cause we got quite a few things to unpack today. Okay. What we unpacking today, DeeTrynt? Well, the first thing we gonna unpack is this Deshaun Watson press conference. Uh, First off, shouts out to the Cleveland Browns organization. Shouts out to this regime that's doing the things that they want to do the way they see fit and not allowing other people to dictate how they're going to run their team. Um, you know, let me just jump right into it, right? First off, they said and basically kind of confirmed a lot of all the stuff that I was talking about. I ain't gonna say all of it, but a lot of it, okay? They confirmed a lot what I was talking about. All right. For instance, the question was asked, how did they get to this point? And basically, they said, we've been vetting this process for quite a while. It was over, since like October. All right. So now Baker got hurt in September, right? Or almost October. So why am I not surprised? I said when Baker didn't want to take that surgery, he shot himself in the foot. All right. So clearly the Browns knew they didn't want Baker, and I don't blame him for it. There's no reason to keep a guy that's really not helping your team. I thought Andrew Berry, Kevin Stefanski, they really held their own in this press conference. Deshaun Watson held his own in this press conference. And for all those who were wondering what the Browns meant when they said, we want an adult in the room. Now, I'm not going to say that somebody prominent in the Browns organization made that comment. I ain't going to say it was one of the big wigs. But if you look how Deshaun Watson handled that particular press conference yesterday, compared to the way Baker has handled tough press conference that's been nowhere near this magnitude, we can clearly see who the adult in the room is. I mean, people may not want to give credit to that, but Deshaun Watson handled that press conference so well yesterday. He was very consistent with the things he's been saying or been alluding to, or things that's been, voiced from his lawyer. He's been very consistent. I was surprised yesterday that the people who actually, the reporters and the Cleveland media, sports media, who actually asked the good questions yesterday, I was surprised. Mary Kay Cabot asked a phenomenal question. A couple of them. Tony Grossi asked some pretty good questions. Terry Pluto might have asked the best questions. But I mean, Terry Pluto is he's a long time star when it comes to this field in Cleveland. And he's a guy that knows what he's talking about, for the most part. He's definitely a sports fan for sure. But guys like Jake Trotter, Nate Albrecht, it was a few more, but those two particularly. Are you reporting for lawyers or are you sports reporters? I mean, y'all asked Deshaun the same question 45 times in different ways and was mad you didn't get a different answer. 40 minutes of questioning, and y'all asked 2, maybe 3 football questions. So you didn't come prepared. You didn't have a plan B for your plan A questioning. I mean, in my opinion, yesterday was a horrible day for Cleveland sports media. Cleveland sports media took a big L yesterday because y'all left so many good questions on the table. So many good questions. The question was asked, okay, so at first it was reported that the Browns were off the table. What made you change your mind? I'm paraphrasing. Deshaun Watson replies, the Browns were never really out of it. So now a person could say that's a lie. Because he followed up with the money wasn't the key factor in coming to Cleveland. Now, I know some people may find this hard to believe, but let me tell you from somebody who's been around the country, there isn't enough money to make a person accept. Wait, there isn't enough money that'll convince a person solely to come to Cleveland. Like, money is not the only reason a person is going to move to Cleveland. You can offer a person $500 million. I promise you, they don't want to move to Cleveland. They'll work in Cleveland. They'll do all their business in Cleveland. They don't want to live in Cleveland. Nobody wants to set up in Cleveland. There's not enough money to make you set up in Cleveland. Because Cleveland is, especially for a black man, ain't enough money for that. So I genuinely believe him when he says money wasn't the deciding factor. It helps, but it wasn't the deciding factor. Then the question was asked, what was the deciding factor? The roster. Deshaun replies, the roster. The connection I had with Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski. Their outlook for how they want to use the team and how they want to use me. He implied my input is valued. You know what I'm saying? But still people like, oh, it wasn't the money though. The money had nothing to do with it. So, follow-up question should have been, well, what about this roster made it a better attraction than the other 3 teams' rosters? What about this roster makes you feel like you could compete for a championship with this set of teammates versus some other ones in the league? Because even though 4 teams was publicized, it was still another 11 teams that still wanted to get you. They didn't ask that question. They didn't ask, well, you've been in the Texans for these years. You haven't really had a run. Well, you had Arian was gone by the time you came. So how do you feel having 2 number 1 running backs? They didn't ask that question. They didn't ask, Well, you've been a guy who's been able to utilize tight ends, even though Austin Hooper's gone now. How do you feel about working with David Njoku and Harrison Bryant? You know, the Houston Texans they asked that question. They didn't ask this question either. The Houston Texans are notorious for not having a good offensive line. Now you're coming to a team that has one of the best offensive lines in the league. And by not asking these questions, right, you virtually contradict a lot of your reporting throughout the year. What are you contradicting? How about the fact that the Browns have one of the best rosters in the league? This is a championship team. It just needs the right type of quarterback. This defense held 12 out of 17 opponents to under 16 points. So when you turn around and question Deshaun and say, or basically kind of imply like the roster wasn't the only reason you came, the front office was the only. How couldn't that be the case? If we got one of the best young regimes in the league, if we got one of the best young talented rosters in the league, Super Bowl contender rosters, why would that not be enough for a quarterback to want to come play for that team? So, it, anyway, then they were throwing fits. They were upset because they couldn't get this regime to crack. Now, we've been dealing with this regime for this going on 3 off seasons now. This one, two. Yeah. So they had the off season, then they had this year, the off season. Yeah, this the off season number 3. This regime has acted the same way. Andrew Berry responds the way he can. Kevin Stefanski responds the way he can, the way he should. It's just mind blowing. It was just so many things wrong with this press conference, man. Like, the goal is to make the Cleveland Browns attractive. So clearly there are a lot of Cleveland sports media people that are only there for the paycheck. They only report on the Browns because they get paid to report on the Browns. They're not necessarily Browns fans. And I think that's a problem. I think that's a problem when you have, and don't get me wrong, a lot of jobs do it. You don't necessarily like the job, but you do it because they pay well. You know, that's fine. But this is sports, and Cleveland is a sports team, a town, especially football. So when you got reporter and media personalities that don't show that passion for the team, it just doesn't help. Especially we're a small market. It's hard to draw free agents. Y'all did all that and don't want to glorify the fact that a top 3 quarterback in this league chose the Browns over everybody else. You want to look over the fact that Deshaun Watson is the first black quarterback to ever become the undeniable face of the franchise in Cleveland. We're not looking at the fact that statistically, he is one of the most cerebral quarterbacks in the league. It's just mind blowing. It's so many things that you can make a lead story off of that you could do to make your articles hit. And this is what y'all choose? This is what y'all choose? I I I don't understand. I don't get it. But this just goes to show that a lot of people hate the Browns. You know what I'm saying? This just goes to show that Cleveland being on top changes the game. Did you see how the league changed when the Cavs were on top? 4 straight NBA Finals, 5 altogether. And it looks like we might be doing another run in these next couple years, starting up another run. Did you see how bad the sports world was
when the Cleveland baseball team was on their run? Do you know how game-changing it is for the Cleveland Browns to be a Super Bowl contender year in and year out? Oh, it changes the game, baby. It changes the game, baby. Okay? It really, yeah. I know, I know, I know, I know, I know. You know what I'm saying? I just, you know, but nonetheless, right? You know, I ain't gonna spend my whole segment on that. But I did want to start off with that, and it's just my bottom line. Deshaun Watson and the Cleveland Browns organization handled themselves very well at that press conference yesterday. They didn't break any laws. They didn't do anything outrageous. They answered the questions head up, straight up. They sat there for 40 minutes. Now, what I did not watch and what I did not hear is Jimmy and D talk. I'll go back at some point and I'll listen to that. But I'm a guy that's pretty good with context clues, and just seeing how they went about the process, I kind of know what's going on. Them Browns is coming, boy. The Browns is coming. So, interesting news that came up around the NFL because I haven't been here to talk about it. Tyreek Hill goes to the Miami Dolphins for 5 picks. A first, a second, and a fourth in this year's draft. A fourth and sixth in next year's draft. And Tyreek is a Miami Dolphin. He is being paired up with Gesicki and Jaylen Waddle with Tua Tagovailoa. And man, y'all better get off Tua back, bruh. The media hate somebody who win and that they didn't pick. And that's amazing. I lightweight expect Tua to contend for the AFC East division crown with that team. They got a squad. I don't see how Tua could mess that up. And he had virtually this same type of squad in college. I think y'all forget the receivers he played with. You know what I'm saying? So they virtually just reinvented that in Miami. Miami look like they doing big things. Marquez Valdez Scalding. I think it's Valdez Scalding. Yeah, MVS. Receiver from the Packers. He goes now to the Chiefs after the Tyreek Hill exit. I don't know how that's going to work. But what I do know is Andy Reid is a mastermind. And they brought in Juju Smith, a guy who could do the slot work. They brought in Valdez Scallon, a guy who could take the top off the defense and still a little tough, a little thick. You still got Travis Kelce. You still got McCole Hardman. I would not be surprised if they took one of the best receivers in the draft. Because that's kind of why you make a move like that. I might as well make a move for a receiver in this draft when it's loaded with great receivers, and I got to get rid of my receiver. And now you give Patrick Mahomes a new target. You give him a big boy target, you know what I'm saying, that you can build around like that with him and Kelce. Because you don't get rid of tight ends. You get a superstar tight end, they so hard to come by, you can't get rid of that. So I understand why they would choose one over the other. Yeah. No, Tua about to go crazy. Tua might throw for 5,000. He gonna throw for at least 4,400. But Tua might go for 5,000. Mike McDaniels, the coach that was up under Kyle Shanahan for these few seasons, he gonna come out and do some things for sure. So after all that happened, reports came out that Devontae Parker from the Miami Dolphins may come available, and it's reported that Laviska Shenault from the Jacksonville Jaguars, a receiver, is available. Bruh, I think the Browns should try to get both of them. Now, it's What makes this corny is it's so many different options when it comes to receiver that's available or maybe available for the Browns. Ideally, though, you just need the one that fits the best.
Right. That's what I keep telling
So
people. They keep trying to get that big name, man. It's a lot of receivers out here that people sleeping on, and they can scoop them right up.
I think the Browns would have drafted a receiver though. And then it came out that the Giants may be willing to trade one of their top picks. I think they got the 5th and the 7th. They willing to trade one of their top picks. And I just think the Giants want to get in position to get one of them boys next year. Um, the Browns need the right receiver. I'm gonna keep saying this. The Browns. So I could be wrong. All right, but Amari Cooper like 6'1", right? Donovan Peoples-Jones like 6'2". You got David Njoku at 6'3", 6'4". Harrison Bryant at 6'4". You got Anthony Schwartz at 6 feet, 5'11", 6 feet. And then you got Demetric Felton that's like 5'9", 5'10". So the type of receiver the Browns need at a number 2, they need a Jamar Chase type. Not necessarily Jamar Chase's skill set per se, but they need a number 2 that's a game breaker. You know what I'm saying? They need a six. See, that's what I said. They need like a 6'3", 6'4" guy. But ultimately, you could use Njoku like a receiver. DPJ a big boy. Harrison Bryant a big boy. So, and then, 6'1" and 6'2" ain't small. That's pretty tall for a receiver. But they need a game breaker. I don't care if he 4'11". I don't care if he's 6'6". They need a guy over there that you can't check one-on-one. You know what I'm saying? A guy that whenever he touches the ball, he can be a good big play guy. He don't necessarily have to run the best routes, even though you would like it. But he does have to have athletic, like he must be like a super athlete, a guy who could break tackles, a guy who can catches with his hands. You know what I'm saying? A guy who secures the ball. You know what I'm saying? Who has field awareness. A guy with an attitude, moxie. If we had a receiver with the right build and Baker Mayfield attitude, we'd be all right. We'd be all right. You know what I'm saying? But so guys that I see that fit this idea of what I'm talking about. If we looking in the league, I think DK Metcalf is that guy. I think Devontae Parker could be that guy. In the draft, I think Garrett Wilson, Jamison Williams, Traylon Burks. I think those are those guys. Um, a lot of people like Drake London, and I'm not down on Drake London, but he give me Kelvin Benjamin vibes. You know what I'm saying? Now, Kelvin Benjamin was a really good receiver, but he give me those vibes. Traylon Burks reminds me of a more athletic Anquan Bolden. That's why I like Traylon. Uh, I, I I think he reminds me of a more athletic Anquan Bolden. Chris Olave might be the best receiver in this class. Um, People gonna call me crazy when I say this, but Chris Olave game remind me a lot of Jerry Rice. The way he go about the way he plays, he reminds me a lot of Jerry Rice, bro. Whoever gets Chris Olave is arguably getting the best receiver in the draft. So Christian Watson is a guy that I think fits more in line what I'm talking about, game breaker guys. Justin Ross is a guy that I like. I think he fits the mold of the type of guy that I'm talking about. But they have to figure that out. But that is about the only thing they need to figure out on offense is who's receiver number 2 and how are you re-signing the next set of guys. That's it for the offense. The Browns have totally remade the passing game. The passing attack is different. It stars Deshaun Watson and Amari Cooper. It's followed up with David Njoku and Donovan Peoples-Jones, Harrison Bryant. You got Anthony Schwartz still. We're going to see what they add to it. But all they need right now is a receiver number 2 or a guy who's going to be receiver number 1, and they can let Amari Cooper be receiver number 2. Because if you can get a guy who can play the number 1 and move Amari to the 2, this shit gonna get even uglier. All right. But the off season is not over. So there's a few things that the Browns still need to take care of, like the interior run game. All right. To me, this has to be priority number 1 right now. The second receiver ain't priority number 1 because remaking the passing game was priority number 1 and you did that. Now you need to solidify the defensive tackle and middle linebacker positions for the future. Once they do that, then they need to focus on who is the place kicker and who is the punter. Because bringing in Jakeem Grant helps the special teams, but you still got to have somebody to back up Grant. You still got to have another guy. So this is where I like Laviska Shenault. And I think the Browns can get him for a third rounder. I mean, you've been trading picks, bro. Trade some future picks. You ain't gonna really need them. You know what I'm saying? And if a team gonna wait, I give them 2 future picks. You know, give you like a 2024 third, 2025 fourth or something. You feel me? Take these future picks. Because you're taking them in the future, I give you 2. You know what I'm saying? Because right now, but Laviscus can do a lot of the things Grant could do. And having them 2 virtually gives you 2 guys who did what you wanted OBJ and Jarvis Landry to do. The more as this goes on, the more that I might be okay with if Jarvis doesn't come back. Now, I'm not saying I don't want Jarvis back. What I am saying though is I'm not gonna throw a fit if he doesn't. Would I like to have Jarvis back? Yes. Let DPJ and Anthony Schwartz play like the 4th and 5th receiver. I like that. Even though I think DPJ might just shine as a number 2, which I think is not getting enough talk, that Donovan Peoples-Jones could be the number 2 and play it well. I don't think that's totally out of the question. It's why I keep bringing up Justin Ross as a guy that they might get in the later rounds. A Clemson guy, a 5-star recruit, a guy who really suffered from not having good quarterback play once Trevor Lawrence left, in my opinion, and he had the injury. I think that's a guy that the Browns could bring in. Now let's just say they bring in Jarvis back, and then they draft Ross. You got Ross and Schwartz down there, and that's cool. But if the Browns could go get Devontae Parker and Laviska Shenault, I'd be cool with that. But at the same token, I really want one of these receivers out the draft. I mean, like, I really, really, really want one of these receivers. Listen, whether it's Olave, Wilson, Burks, Williams, Watson, Ross, if they draft Sky Moore, let's just say they don't want to get Laviska Shenault because they iron Sky Moore. I'm cool with that too. You know what I'm saying? I just think the passing game has got to have one of everything. You need at least a guy who can break tackles. You need a guy who you can't tackle one-on-one. You need a tactician. You need a big guy you can throw it up to. You need a guy who can manipulate the middle. You know what I'm saying? Like, you need it all because it's situational. You know what I'm saying? You never know. What you got on the screen, bruh? Is these receivers? Yeah. Y'all gotta excuse me. I'm on my phone. My screen is
Yeah,
up.
yeah, them the receivers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
them the receivers.
Amari Cooper, Donovan Peoples-Jones, Anthony Schwartz, Jakeem Grant, and then Jamarcus Bradley. Jamarcus Bradley is a practice squad guy that's been with us for about 4 or 5 seasons now. I mean, could he emerge as a Kadero Hodge type? It's possible. But he just a practice body. He just extra body on the roster. With that lineup that you see right there, though, with those top 4, that's okay. It's not the best receiver core in the league, but however, you got the best route runner and you got one of the best one-on-one tackle breakers with Cooper and Grant, respectively. We don't know what Donovan Peoples-Jones is. We know what we think he could be, but we don't know what he is. Is he the 4th receiver or is he the 2nd receiver? That's the question he needs to answer. Anthony Schwartz, this will be his year that he gets judged on who he is or who he think he can become. And that's the same with Demetri Felton too. And I feel like those 2 guys though could kind of really handle the kick return duties behind Jakeem Grant. I think a guy like Jakeem Grant is really gonna help them out a lot. But I do want one of them out this draft though, bro. One of them receivers I named, we need one of them, man. We need one. Because, if you're going to have Deshaun Watson for the next 5, you got Amari Cooper for the next 3, you got Donovan Peoples-Jones for the next 2, you got Schwartz for the next 3. Why not get you a receiver that you can have for the next 4 years that can grow and give you options depending on what may happen? And then, but DPJ always work hard though, for sure. And then 2, we never know how the injury bug may affect us. So listen, I'm
This
perfectly.
tight ends right there.
Who we got on the tight end side? So it's Njoku. I don't know who the second dude is. Harrison Bryant.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like Nick Germos or something like that. Grumos, 6'5",
Okay.
231 pounds, 26 years old, University of
Well,
St. Thomas.
well, in all fairness, right? People keep talking about the Browns drafting a tight end. That makes no sense. All right, and I'm gonna tell you why it makes no sense. The Browns have 2 guys at tight end that could block and receive. If they're going to bring in more tight ends, it's going to be tight ends that can block really well with at least some type of decent hands. So that way you could free those 2 up and use them a little differently. Ideally in this offense, Deshaun Watson is going to have his freedom. So he's going to audible. He's going to change plays at the line. He's going to identify mismatches, and he's going to be moving people around. I mean, we cannot forget the formation package that Kevin Stefanski has in his offense. We're not going to forget how many packages he got, how many formations he got with the pieces he got. You know what I'm saying? So whatever tight ends the Browns bring in is the point I'm getting to. They're going to be like the Steven Carlsons and these little undrafted guys who can really block really well, who are athletic, and you can work on their hands. You know what I'm saying? Because they're not going to take up a lot of money. They're going to be happy with the role they're getting to help showcase their talent. And it's going to give you a lot more flexibility and versatility with using Njoku or Harrison or Harrison Bryant as receivers or second. Fullbacks. God damn it! Excuse my French. With using them as receivers or fullbacks. You know what I'm saying? Because I keep saying this, and Deshaun Watson gonna show y'all. Nick Chubb is pounding the ball. They come in with a I formation or a strong or a weak I formation with David Njoku as the fullback, and they run a play action pass. What linebacker or lineman out of that play action off a first down after a couple running first downs? What linebacker is going to be able to check Njoku? What safety is really going to be able to check him out the backfield? It's 9 times out of 10 it's going to be a linebacker or a lineman. Man, listen. Imagine Harrison Bryant coming from a fullback position and then lining up out wide. Bruh. I'm talking about, listen, Deshaun gonna have a field day. And this is why I say that second receiver has to be a game breaker. Ideally, you want a guy that can move Amari Cooper to the 2. You know what I'm saying? And but Amari gonna shine. But they gotta figure out this.
What do you think the weakest position is? What you think we got to work on right now? The weakest position.
Right now is defensive tackle and middle linebacker. I don't think one is more important than the other. I think because they both are positions that directly affect the inside running ability of an opposing offense.
I got the D tackles on the screen.
I got so this who we got on our D tackle list. We got Chase Winkovich, who we just signed. We got Taven Bryan, who we signed. We got what's that? Malik Jackson not with us no more. But it should be. Why I can't think. Tommy Togiai, Jordan Elliott, and I think Joe Jackson with Myles Garrett. So rotation wise, they cool. But you need your prime guys. So Jadeveon must come back. I don't think it's no mystery Jadeveon coming back. I just think they trying to figure out the money. I keep saying this. I'm going to keep saying this. I would give Jadeveon 4 years, $64 million, and give him 40 guaranteed. I'm going to keep saying that.
It's what's that? These are the linebackers on the screen right now.
So
I don't know if you can see this shit.
I see Tony Fields. I see a little bit. Willie Harvey, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, Jacob Phillips, Sione Takitaki, Anthony. Okay, so we still got Takitaki. Takitaki backing up Jacob Phillips is good for the left outside linebacker or the is that the Sam linebacker? I like them two right there. I think that's fine. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah with Tony Fields. And I guess that's Willie Harvey who will be over there as well. I'm not high on Willie Harvey, but he is a good special teams guy. But a guy that can get replaced in the draft. Jeremiah and Tony Fields, I'm cool with for right now. And that's because I can always rotate Jacob Phillips over to play that side too. Anthony Walker is cool in that middle, but I don't like Anthony Walker as the guy in the middle. I like him as the good rotation guy in the middle that can lead. The Browns need a young stud right there. A tackling machine, snot-nosed guy that shed blocks and getting that inside. You ain't really worried about him trying to get outside because you already got guys that can handle it on the outside. You just need a guy who's going to terrorize in between the tackles. You know what I'm saying? From that middle linebacker position. That's the guy they need, a bully. And they need a defensive tackle to go with him. So I think those are the two positions that they most need to take care of right now. And then once they figure that out, then you got to go place kicker. Because ideally, you want to prioritize the positions that impact winning. Your second receiver impacts winning. Your defensive tackle, your nose tackle, the guy in the middle, he impacts winning. Your middle linebacker impacts winning. Your place kicker, your field goal kicker, he impacts winning. So those are, now that we, like I said, we got the pass game together, the interior run defense, which is really defensive tackle 1 and linebacker 1, and they need the place kicker. Literally, this is all about.
Definitely need that place kicker. Definitely need that place kicker. And we got our quarterback, but he gonna be out, man. I know we talked about this, but what's on that backup? You think Jacob or Jacoby, whatever his name, Jacoby, what's his name?
So Jacoby Brissett is gonna be fired because you got to understand what the Browns gonna ask him to do. He got running quarterback ability, so and he a big boy at 6'5", like 240 or something, 230. So the Browns can run the ball heavy. They can do a lot of bootlegs. Jacoby can sling it, so he can do play action over the top. I mean, virtually he can do everything you asked Baker to do last year. So from that standpoint, Jacoby is fire. You know what I'm saying? He a leader. You know what I'm saying? He understands the assignment. So he gonna be fine until Deshaun comes back, which is gonna put him over the top. And that's another reason why I say they're gonna need a receiver too. Another receiver, a starting guy, a game breaker guy. Because, I'm under the impression that Jacoby gonna play like
Hey,
3.
out of all the Browns receivers from after the 99, who I love to see on this squad right now is my boy Dennis Northcutt, man. Hey, man, Northcutt, what a true Falker, nobody say.
Bruh, no.
Northcutt with these boys right now. You ain't fuck with Northcutt?
I did fuck with Northcutt, but I would have rather like to see Josh Cribbs with this team.
Yeah, because we do need Josh Cribbs right now. That's specialty.
Josh Cribbs was a special teams guru. And I think, bruh, to be honest, that's the type of guy the Browns need to find they need to find another Josh Cribbs.
They think Schwartz gonna be Josh Cribbs.
No, because he don't tackle, bruh. You got to remember, Josh Cribbs not only led the league in return yards, he led the league in tackles as a special teams guy too. You know what I'm saying? Like Josh Cribbs was that guy. He was the special teams. You know what I'm saying? The Browns need that guy. They need something like that. They need a hard-nosed football player that can return, that can return and tackle.
All right, let's get into this GM DeeTrynt, man. What is you gonna do with Baker Mayfield?
Baker Mayfield is gonna get traded for a second round pick. I said he was gonna go to Seattle for a second round pick. I think that's still possible. I think if Pete Carroll do what he did before, he's probably gonna trade for Baker and bring in Kaepernick to battle with Drew Lock. And saying that though, I think it depends on what they can get for DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, because I don't see those guys staying on the team. They re-signed Rashad Penny. Well, I think they did. Let me double check that on Rashad Penny. I want to say re-signed a 1-year deal, but let me recheck that. But I think they're going for a total rebuild, and they want to see how they want to rebuild it. The defense is going to be pretty good. I mean, they got a couple pieces to start with, but Baker though, listen, specifically on Baker. Baker has no room for leverage. In all fairness,
Yes, you're right. They keeping Penny.
Um,
1 year deal.
So they're gonna see if Penny can become now that he's healthy. They're gonna see if he can become a primetime back. So they're gonna run the ball and they're gonna play action. Now, in all fairness, ideally they want to keep Lockett and Metcalf, but because this draft is so deep, if they was gonna pick a time to reset and get a lot of picks to get their base down, and then come back next year and get their stars, this would be the perfect draft to do that. These two drafts, this draft and next NFL draft, 2023, would be the perfect drafts to do that. So I think Seattle will rush to give up a third for Baker, but the Browns want a first, and they probably gonna end up getting a second. I think he can still end up in Seattle, but bruh, what nobody is talking about, and this is what I was getting to. What nobody is talking about as a possibility is Baker could go on the IR. Nobody's talking about that. Baker has to prove. Baker's not scheduled to be back till August, right? He's injured. The Browns could put Baker Mayfield on the injured reserve list for the season. Now, you could trade a player while he's injured if the other team accepted. So, if you put Baker on IR, then he has no reason to hurt his trade value no more, as long as he stays quiet. And you still got your quarterback. They could easily keep Nick Mullins and let him be the backup behind Jacoby Brissett, because Nick Mullins has been in the system for like a year, and he a pretty decent quarterback. So it's not like the quarterback room is on fire. I mean, Lord forbid, any injuries happen, but it ain't like the room on fire. But Baker gonna get traded for a second. Now, I said Baker could end up going to the Jets, y'all.
I'll hold his ass to draft day.
Baker could end up going to the Jets. You know what I'm saying? But Baker going to IR, and then
send him to that New York media.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Hold on. Jets got? Jets got them a youngster, don't they?
Yeah, they got Zach Wilson, but they don't really believe in him. And then we gonna see how I come out this year, and then they got White, something White, Mike White or some shit, and he played a little better. So I think for the most part though, I think it's possible. I think it's possible he can go there. I doubt if Carolina trades for him because they don't have it capital wise. But I think what's most likely gonna happen is, and I hate to say it, it's gonna be some type of crazy circumstance with a quarterback and his inability to play at the time. You know what I'm saying? And that team gonna reach out for Baker.
I'm about to. I think they did a new mock draft.
A new mock. You know what I mean? So but the Browns, man, the Browns going to the Super Bowl. Bottom line. Oh shit. You know what, y'all?
Got a scout and bow. Got a
Yeah,
slide.
yeah, man. I gotta hit Cuz up.
Oh
He
yeah,
uh
man.
he getting ready for something. I gotta hit Cuz up. Wild off-season ripple effects include rounds, one receivers,
This
Lions.
ain't nothing. This ain't nothing. But the little mock draft they dropped yesterday. But shit, we'll get back to this.
Yeah, we can. Yeah, let me do this. Listen, I am DeeTrynt. This is Game Changer Sports Talk, Industry Sports. We just wanted to come, do some post Deshaun Watson press conference talk. Just a little more talk about the team, the roster, and what the Browns need to do going forward.
Not like
You know.
fishy ass reporters.
You know what I'm saying? Like I say, just if you missed the show, you know what I'm saying? If you want to go back, you just now tuning in right now. Like I say, I'm about to end it right now, but today's show was going over, what I thought, how the Cleveland sports media represented themselves, and it wasn't the way they think they did, and talked more about the questions they should have asked, and then went into some of those questions as you know what the team needs and things that's gonna help them moving forward. What's priority as far as position and acquisitions, and how far are they away from completing the team. So I am DeeTrynt. This is Game Changer Sports Talk, Industry Sports. Make sure you like, shop, subscribe, share, follow. We on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook. You know what I'm saying? You can follow us on podcast outlets like Anchor, Spotify, Radio Public, Google Podcasts, and things like that. It's always a pleasure to rock with y'all. Make sure y'all tune in, you know what I'm saying, for the next viewings. And be looking out for our other podcasts too, man. We do music stuff, so man, check that out too, y'all. I'm DeeTrynt, this Game Changer Sports Talk, Industry Sports. We're gonna holler at y'all later. One.